Reach for a mug of hot coffee and notice fingers that stay cold, even wrapped around the warm ceramic, cold enough to feel strange against the heat radiating from the cup itself. Slip on a second pair of socks just to feel normal at home, in a room everyone else finds perfectly comfortable. It gets brushed off as just poor circulation or always been like this, and life moves on. But here's what cardiology research keeps circling back to. In a lot of cases, that's not just a quirk of the body.
It's one of the earliest, most overlooked signals your circulatory system sends before bigger problems show up.
Cold hands and feet happen to almost everyone in cold weather. That's completely normal. Blood vessels near the skin's surface constrict to keep warmth concentrated around vital organs, like the brain, lungs, and kidneys, which is exactly why fingers and toes are the first to feel it. That's the body working correctly. What's different, and worth paying attention to, is when hands and feet stay cold even in a warm room, or feel noticeably colder than everyone else's in the same environment. That pattern is where research starts pointing towards something more specific. Here's the connection that rarely gets explained clearly. Your circulatory system works like a network of highways, with the heart as the central hub pumping blood outward to every part of the body. Hands and feet sit at the farthest exits on that highway system. When there's a blockage, narrowing, or generally sluggish flow anywhere along the route, the farthest points are usually the first to feel the effects, showing up as persistent cold, even when the cause is happening much closer to the heart itself. There are 3 specific cardiovascular conditions where this shows up most consistently, and they're worth knowing by name rather than just as a vague circulation problem. The first is peripheral artery disease, often shortened to PAD. This happens when arteries supplying blood to the arms and legs become narrowed by the same kind of plaque buildup. PAD is frequently a visible sign of much more widespread cardiovascular disease, meaning someone with PAD carries a meaningfully higher risk for heart-elation issues in the limbs. The second is heart failure, where the heart isn't pumping with enough strength to fully meet the body's needs. When pumping efficiency drops, blood has a harder time reaching the extremities in adequate volume,
and cold hands and feet become one of the quieter, easy-to-miss symptoms, alongside the more commonly discussed ones like fatigue and shortness of breath.
The third is arrhythmia, an irregular heart rhythm. When the heart isn't beating in a steady, coordinated pattern, it can't circulate blood as efficiently,
and the extremities are often where that inefficiency becomes noticeable first, before someone ever feels a palpitation or an irregular beat directly. Here's a detail worth sitting with for a second, because it changes how this symptom should actually be evaluated going forward.
Many patients later diagnosed with an underlying heart condition report that cold extremities were something they'd noticed for months, sometimes years, before any formal diagnosis.
It wasn't a sudden symptom. It was a slow, easy-to-dismiss pattern that eventually connected to something much bigger, well after the fact. Now let's take a deeper look at this topic and discuss everything you need to know in a simple and easy to understand way.
So how do you tell the difference between just cold hands and something worth mentioning to a doctor? A few specific details matter here, more than the cold sensation itself. First, does it happen even in a warm room when other people around are comfortable? That's the single biggest distinguishing factor between normal cold sensitivity and something circulatory. Second, is it paired with other signs? Numbness or tingling in the same areas. Skin that looks pale, bluish, or blotchy rather than simply cold to the touch. Pain or cramping in the legs, specifically during walking that eases with rest, which is a fairly specific and well-documented sign of PAD worth mentioning by name and appointment. Discoloration that lingers, hair loss on the lower legs, or slow healing sores on the feet are additional, more advanced signs that point more specifically towards significant arterial narrowing rather than a benign, everyday cause. Third, has it developed or noticeably worsened somewhat recently, rather than being a lifelong trait? A change in pattern tends to matter more than a symptom that's simply always been part of someone's normal baseline. It's worth being clear about something here too. because this isn't meant to create alarm over something harmless. Plenty of cold hands and feet cases come down to completely benign causes, being naturally thin, having lower baseline blood pressure, simply running cold as a lifelong trait, or normal seasonal response to genuinely cold environments. The goal isn't to panic over cold fingers. It's to notice the specific pattern, warm room, paired symptoms, recent change that shifts this from background noise into something worth an actual conversation. There are a couple of other, less commonly discussed causes worth ruling out too, since they can produce a very similar sensation without being heart-related at all. Anemia, a shortage of red blood cells or hemoglobin, limits how efficiently blood can carry warmth throughout the body, which can produce cold extremities even when circulation itself is otherwise fine. Diabetes can also cause peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage in the hands and feet that affects how well the body senses and regulates temperature in those areas specifically. This is exactly why a doctor's evaluation matters more than guessing from home, since several different underlying causes can produce what feels like an identical symptom. If any of that pattern sounds familiar, here's what a doctor's visit for this specific concern typically involves, and it's far less complicated than it might sound. An ankle brachial index test, a simple, painless comparison of blood pressure at the ankle versus the arm, is a standard, quick way to screen specifically for PAD. It takes only a few minutes and requires no special preparation. There are a few practical steps worth trying in the meantime as well, regardless of the underlying cause, since they support healthy circulation either way. Loose-fitting clothing rather than tight cuffs or socks that restrict blood flow at the wrists and ankles. Regular movement throughout the day, since prolonged sitting reduces circulation to the extremities specifically. And when resting, elevating the legs slightly above heart level, which can help promote blood return from the lower body. None of these replace a proper evaluation if the pattern described earlier is present, but they're reasonable, low-risk habits either way. There's something worth pointing out before moving on, because it connects directly to a topic worth its own full breakdown. Risk factors that worsen circulation, smoking, high cholesterol, a sedentary lifestyle, are largely the same modifiable factors that show up across nearly every cardiovascular condition, which is exactly why addressing them tend to help more than one problem at once rather than being a narrow fix for a single symptom. Quitting smoking specifically has been shown to improve circulation measurably within just a few weeks, making it one of the fastest, most impactful changes available for anyone dealing with this pattern. It's also worth mentioning how this symptom tends to be discovered in real life, because it rarely shows up as a dramatic, unmistakable moment. More often, it's a slow accumulation of small observations, always reaching for a blanket first, noticing gloves feel necessary indoors when nobody else needs them, or a spouse commenting more than once that hands feel unusually cold during a hug or handshake. Individually, each observation seems too minor to mention to a doctor. Together, especially paired with a warm room and a recent change in pattern, they add up to something worth bringing up directly rather than continuing to dismiss one observation at a time. If breaking down research like this consistently feels useful, subscribing means catching future ones automatically, including one coming up that looks at a completely different, easy-to-overlook physical sign. This time, that specific detail, a warm room with cold extremities, is exactly the kind of pattern worth a doctor's attention rather than another pair of socks, and it's worth being specific about in the comments rather than a vague yes or no. And if this reframed something that's been dismissed for years as just how my hands are, sharing it with a parent, spouse, or friend who mentions the same thing regularly could be exactly what prompts an overdue conversation with their doctor, rather than another winter of blaming it on the weather alone. One last thing worth remembering. This symptom, on its own, rarely tells the whole story, and that's actually good news rather than bad. It means cold hands and feet aren't a diagnosis by themselves. They're a prompt, a reason to look a little closer at the bigger picture rather than something to either panic over or dismiss entirely. Paired with the right context, a warm room, a recent change, other symptoms alongside it, that prompt is exactly the kind of small detail that sometimes leads to catching something significant earlier than would otherwise have been caught, well before it turns into a bigger, harder-to-treat problem.